Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today we'll be speaking with a mom of two kiddos and the first Bikini Pro of North Dakota, who started as a pageant girl, competitive gymnast, and cheerleader all the way through college. She uses fitness and competing for her mental health, which is something she has advocated for consistently on her journey. She competed in 7 shows before earning her pro card at her 8th show ever. Welcome to the show, Arielle Ann. How are you doing?
Good. What an intro.
I got you. For those of you, by the way, who are tuning in, we're actually on video as well. So if you go to celestial_fit on YouTube, you can check us out on video as we are recording this episode. And me and Arielle have had the opportunity to go back and forth quite a bit on messages. So it's really a pleasure to have her on the show. And I have to ask you, is there anything you do or think about, or maybe a ritual you have before your heel hits the stage?
Yes. So every show I've ever done, I actually FaceTime my kids. So that's like right before I get on stage. And then right as I'm walking up, I always pray. And these last few shows, I've prayed to God and then also my guardian angel, Ty. And I say, let's just do this and have fun.
I love that. And I think this is a really important story, and we can just dive right into that because this is what we really connected on heavily straight off the bat, which is the idea of love and loss. And I want to get into your relationship with Ty, who was your boyfriend during your competition season and who you planned much of a recent season with, and that led you to finish what you guys started. You got what you ultimately wanted, which is awesome. And you guys had, I'm giving a mini synopsis, but you guys met through TikTok. You had a very loving, cute, amazing relationship before he passed away. So can you talk to us more about this relationship and maybe how it influenced your journey?
Are you talking about after he passed or?
Altogether.
Okay. Well, I was doing competitions before I met him. And then he was like you think my mom is my biggest cheerleader, my biggest rock. I didn't think anybody could out cheer my mom. I mean, I was a pageant girl and she was the pageant mom growing up. But Ty he had the softest voice, but when you put him in a room when I was on stage, he was the loudest person in that room. He was my biggest motivator, my biggest supporter. He lived in Oklahoma. I live in North Dakota. He would fly here, he'd be here for 4 days and go back home for 3. And he was my rock. And we planned shows, and I was going to be done after nationals in Florida in 2000. Right after he passed, that was our last show, and I was moving to Oklahoma. We're going to start our life together. And then obviously he passed away, and I still did the last show that we planned. I feel like that show actually saved me in a way because I didn't leave my room for a while. I didn't eat. I didn't want to be here anymore. So, but I just decided to do that last show, and then I don't know, the fire got back in me and it felt great, and took a little bit of an off season to kind of work on my mental health. And then I got back in it again.
It's amazing that you were able to follow through on that after that kind of loss. It's not even just the loss of your person, but it's the loss of all the things you had thought you were going to have with them and share with them. So when you got up on that stage, you say that show really saved you. How did it feel to be there?
Well, I actually, they say don't compete just to compete. My body was not responding, rightfully so. I did the 2.5 hours of cardio, no carbs, no fats, but my body was going through internal things with the passing of him. And so it was pretty much my worst show to date. But I got up there and I showed up for not only him, but for myself. And, you know, I didn't actually make it to the night show, and I felt super bad because, you know, as an athlete, you still show up no matter where you are at lineup. But I actually had a really bad panic attack because they kept pushing the night show later and later and later. And so I was just sitting in my room because I kind of developed social anxiety, and I just had a panic attack. And I remember messaging my coach because it's like, where are you? And I was like, I can't do it. And I was bawling. And so I didn't make it to the night show, but I still showed up.
Yeah, that's such an amazing story of strength and resilience, because even though you didn't end up going to the night show, just showing up and being there and following through on that is amazing and takes a lot of courage. Because I know after I had the traumatic loss of my mom, like my body, it was really, really hard to get any response. And I was doing everything I could, and yet my body was just taking on its own journey. And I think sometimes people see the end result, or they see a result, and they don't consider so many other factors that could be at play in that. But what I love is you emphasize how bodybuilding was really keeping you alive. And even though you didn't bring your best and you were in technically like the last place of second callouts, bodybuilding was providing you something every day. So what was it giving you that you felt was really like your saving grace or keeping you going?
Well, I don't really talk on it a lot, but right after he passed, I didn't see past the pain and I didn't want to be here anymore. And so getting back into prep, I kind of went into a kind of blacked out. I went into autopilot. Like prep gave me, they always say, you know, if you're not mentally ready, don't do a prep or whatever. But to me, it saved me. It gave me purpose. Like, okay, I have to get out of bed. I have to, I mean, I have kids, obviously I have a purpose, but when your brain, sometimes it doesn't see all that, I don't really know how to put it. It doesn't let you see past the pain. And, but when you have somebody telling you what to do, my coach, like eat this, work out this, you have no guesswork. So even I went to therapy for trauma, and which I was diagnosed with PTSD. And she actually said that the structure and the routine is really good for me because there is no guesswork. Because when you start to think about tomorrow, and that's when I would have panic attacks, or like when I'd wake up in the morning and realizing that it's like Groundhog's Day all over again, and I'm going through this and he's not here. And this way, like I said, it gave me a routine, and I needed that.
Absolutely. You know, I'm going to speak for someone who's not here right now, which is Kimber Bonilla. And I think she would actually echo that sentiment because she found prep really supported her during a hard time. She's talked about it on her social media. You guys, she's been on this podcast too a while ago, but I think you would benefit from listening to that too if this resonates. And I know for me, like, I don't know how, but you know, when you lose someone and you go through a traumatic loss, for me, I was like waking up every day crying, cry the whole day, go to bed. I'd literally cry myself to sleep, wake up, cry. I would only do what I could do, but I kept up with my routine. It was almost just because it was like in my blood, you know what I mean? Like it was second nature. I didn't have to think about it, much like what you're saying. It's just, it gives you an outlet, but it feels very natural to some degree.
Yeah, and also like it gave you a different kind of pain. Like instead of the heartache, you're making your muscles feel like heck. So like that was another thing too, to feel a different kind of pain than the heartache.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I used to be like, well, I was really lucky to have coaches at the time who really supported me during that. And I would go and work out with them sometimes just because they knew I was really like in that nothing has meaning anymore mentality and what's the point of anything. But I would go work out and I would want to be like, I would want them to put me through hell and I would want to put myself through it because I remember being like, there's nothing more in the world that could hurt more than this. So I can give even more here because I already know that the pain of this is so much worse than anything.
And it's also like a control thing. Like it's the one thing in life you have control over, because people aren't promised tomorrow. I mean, you have control of what you put in your mouth, you have control of the lifts you do. So it's also a control thing too, which was kind of comforting.
That's such a great point. And you were preparing to move, I believe you said, right?
Yes.
So when you realized that wasn't going to be happening, and I believe your kids were involved in this too, like it was a very familial type of relationship. How did you guys make the decision? Okay, we're not moving anymore. We're here. Was that difficult? Was that expected? Did you have your house? Like there's so many questions that I'm thinking about.
The only reason I was moving is because he had a ranch there. So there, my job, I can work remote and everything. So there's no point of him moving here. But I mean, there was no other reason to move there. So it was just kind of planned out then. Okay, I'm here. So
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we've shared shared a similar sentiment in that like the darkness we've both been through and the pain, even though it was very challenging, we've really utilized it to support others in knowing that God's purpose and path can take us through a lot of that darkness. But I also know it isn't always easy to see it that way. And it's almost easier to lose sight of purpose when you go through that because it's just all consuming. But with that being said, can you maybe talk about how being vulnerable and sharing this with others has actually maybe supported you through this journey or has been important to you through the difficulty?
yeah, so I mean, our relationship started on TikTok and it blew up. And so when everything happened, I didn't really want to be vulnerable and be out there, but it also was like kind of like a diary, like just letting it out in a way. And then once I found being vulnerable, it also brought other people like yourself. And it really sucks that it brings people together because the fact, you know, why, like, you don't want to bond over that, but also it helps. And I've also had a lot of people, which can be overwhelming, DM me about their own mental health, and I'm like, I'm not somebody just like to help you in that way. Like I'll listen to you to understand. That's one of my biggest things. Favorite quotes is listen to understand versus listen to respond. And so I mean, I'll listen to somebody, but like when it comes to helping, I always tell them that they should seek help because that's what I did because I'm not a therapist. But I do, it also helps people, the vulnerability, know that people aren't alone and that you feel crazy sometimes because it comes in such, people say waves, and I say it comes in tsunamis because you can literally be just sitting here and a smell can bring tears to your eyes. But just letting people know that you're not weird, you're, because you do feel crazy sometimes, you do, at least I do. And I think that's refreshing, that seeing that and knowing you're not alone, I guess.
Absolutely. I think from the outside looking in, people might think like that person has a lot of highs and a lot of lows or something up, like they're going through it. But in our hearts, it is, I love that you use the word tsunamis to describe that because that is what it often feels like. And going back to your point too about not wanting to necessarily bond with people who have these similar experiences, I can absolutely relate to that. And I'm grateful that a lot of those relationships have expanded into more of like friendships where that's not the main point of discussion, but it's always nice to know you have that person who you can be like, you ever go through this or experience that? And it's like, yes, I do. And it's comforting and there's something really nice about that. But I also think there can be judgment. um I don't want to share much about what I went through from like the perspective of what I do and how people could judge for that. But I know you've experienced some judgment, or maybe you've gone through some times of like, well, I'm a mom and I'm grieving this and it's impacted my kids as well. So how do you navigate this loss with being a mother, and how has it maybe impacted your view on life that way?
Well, I'm not the only one, obviously, who grieves him. My kids do too. We pray to him every night. They have a nighttime bed prayer that they always say and mention his name. But I know that people are like, because when I didn't want to be here anymore, they're like, you have kids, it's selfish, blah, 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 which mental health, it is a sickness. You don't see past your pain. Like, yeah, I like now I'm like, I do have a purpose. I'm their mother. I'm supposed to be here. But at the time, you don't see that. As much as hard as you want to, you can't see that. And right now, I'm actually going through a different, how there's stages of grief. Well, I've experienced a new stage of grief, and it's really been hard on me because it's almost been 2 years now. And I look back at like time hop memories of my kids, and I wasn't mentally with them and physically there. So it's like I'm grieving those 2 years of my kids as well. And okay. So that's really hard on me. And yeah, sorry.
Oh no, don't even worry about it. I've been like feeling tears welling up just having this open conversation with you, because I know it's definitely not easy to talk about. And what I'm really inspired by is the love that you have the capacity to give and receive. The fact that you were able to create that kind of love and have it last really all this time, even beyond, is amazing. And I think that's something that inspires hope and inspires excitement. It inspires me because we have the opportunity to receive that love and also give it. And so the fact that you guys created that and fostered that, not just for each other, but with your families too, that's really, really beautiful. And it makes sense then why so many people were engaged and excited about your guys' relationship. And it was a long distance relationship, and you said you met on TikTok. So how did that exactly transpire? Let's go to the boop, and then we can
Boop.
Oh, that's so cute.
Okay, so during the pandemic, I was like, I'm never going to get a TikTok. But during the pandemic, everyone was getting TikTok. And so I finally joined. And how you have a For You page. I'm just sitting there scrolling. And I didn't follow him. He didn't follow me. The video I saw was nothing to do with him. It was one of his ranch animals. And all I did was comment, can you boop its nose for me? And then all of a sudden, I get this DM in my Instagram, and he's blowing me up. And I was like, no, because I just got out of a really bad relationship before that happened. And so he sat in my DMs for quite a while. And then I saw another video of him on the ranch, and I kind of put two and two together that was him. And so I followed him, and he followed me. And then I guess the rest is history. And then we did end up he surprised me during one of my preps and bought me a blue Frenchie, and we named him Boop.
Oh, that's awesome.
He always would say, it started with a boop, now we're here.
Oh, that's so sweet. And how did you guys eventually kindle the desire to meet each other, even though you were at a distance?
Well, he tried flying here a few times. I canceled because I was too nervous.
He's like, it was all catfished.
Well, we FaceTime, so we knew we were real, but no, I didn't want a relationship. I just wanted to be a single mom because I just got out of a bad relationship, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Don't want to introduce anyone of my kids. And I didn't introduce him for a while. But yeah, and then he tried doing a surprise for me with messaging my friends. He's like, I'm just going to fly there. And one of my girlfriends is like, oh, she might not like that, which I don't like surprises. But eventually I finally said yes, and we met, and I didn't want to like him. I already liked him before he got here. And he wanted to say, I love you since the day he started talking to me, but I made him choose the word, I adore you. Mm-hmm. And then it was actually at my brother's wedding. He's like, I'm not waiting anymore, Arielle. I'm going to tell it. You don't have to say it back. He's like, I love you. And I was like, I love you too.
Oh my gosh. That's so, when you just know, you feel it.
That's so true. I never felt anything like that until him. It felt too good to be true.
Well, especially after a tough relationship, it's hard to let your guard down.
Yeah, that poor boy had to break down my walls, but he was persistent and most amazing man ever.
Oh, it's like sometimes it's tough, I think, when you come out of a relationship where you didn't feel that, or it dwindled, or it changed, or something shifted, and then someone wants to give that to you to actually be open and receive it. Eventually, it takes courage too, because what I've found, and I expressed this to my boyfriend now, I'm like, it's very hard because to maybe open yourself up to the possibility of love, you now become extremely vulnerable to a pain that is very, very deep. And when you've experienced a pain like that, I think it sometimes adds a brick to the wall that you don't necessarily want to be there, but you can't help that it is.
Yeah, and that's something Ty always told me. He's like, because he'd buy me flowers, he'd do like all the gentleman things, and it kind of pushed me away at first because I wasn't used to it. And he's like, "You're just not used to being loved properly." I was like, "Yes, sir."
Say no more. Oh,
Yes.
that's so sweet. Well, I love that you guys were able to create that. And of course, that's a love that will always live within you, clearly, because it does. And he was able to prove that to you and show that to you. Now that it's been 2 years and you've had to grieve so much, and grief is like not so linear, right? All these phases and stages come and they go. We have to have like so much patience with ourselves through it. What is it that you are maybe envisioning now in your life? Because I know you had to grieve that future you thought you'd have. So how have you maybe changed your vision, if at all?
It's funny you say that because I always try not to think about the future because that's when I start to go into panic mode.
Well, you
But
definitely don't have to talk about it if you don't feel ready to.
I look at it like it's amazing. As of the past month, I can talk about memories and I can speak of his name and not, I mean, sometimes I cry. That's inevitable, but I look at grief now as a gift, like, because it's all the love I still have and it'll stay with me forever. And I actually had a friend reach out this morning. Her dad passed away unexpectedly. And she's like, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, I can't give you the right words to comfort you. All I can tell you is I'm here to listen. And there's no, like you said, there's no right, nobody can write a book on how to grieve. Some people cope differently. And like I got told all the time right in the beginning, which if God brought you to it, like just, like I know people say things to make you feel comfort,
Uh-huh.
but it's not like, because you're like, no.
Yeah.
But I guess I've recently broke out of hermit mode. I've like after he passed, I didn't want to be around anybody. Not I used to be a social butterfly, and now I'm just like, okay, work, gym, kids, that's it. But I'm being more open-minded because life is a gift. If you wake up and you get to live it, then you should do just that. You should live it, instead of waiting for your time to go to heaven like I was doing forever because I was just wanted to get there. But life is short. And so I'm just trying to be more positive and looking like I know he's gone and I know he's not coming back. And that was really hard for me to grasp, but I'm not gone. A part of me died when he passed away, but I'm still here and I just need to figure out who this new me is.
Yeah, definitely. Oof. I feel that one. Oh, that's making me tear up a little bit.
I
Yeah.
wore not waterproof mascara, so I'd tell myself not to cry.
Oh, you're so cute. Yeah, that's very relatable. I love how you said that because I've too had moments where I was like, where was I mentally while I was grieving? I don't even know. Or where am I going after this? I couldn't see past it. Like you said, it's hard to see past that darkness. But your point about how life continues, there's been so many moments where I just wish, like, oh, I wish my mom was here for this part of life. And I know that she won't be. And so letting that go is difficult. But as you said, like, we deserve to continue to live. And to go back to your sentiment about others' comfort, I had to tell myself to take comfort in the fact that they want to be there for me and that they're trying, and not so much in their words, as you said, because sometimes it's like when people are like, oh, your mom's always with you. And like when you look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, that's not exactly how it feels for me because I can't hug her, you know? So
Right.
it's just different, like you said, for everyone. And I think it's beautiful that people can come to you and talk about this. And I find people come to me and talk about their experiences, and it's nice to know we can hold that space for people. And hearing you talk, I think I would regret not asking you this, so I'm going to ask you. You had this relationship and it was really beautiful, and there's other people, including myself, who are fostering these types of relationships and who want to have a relationship full of love. What would be your advice or insight for those people to make the most of it? And maybe like what is your thought now that he's not here to make the most of it?
Right. Well, one, never settle. Your person's out there. Don't just be comfortable and stay in routine because you're from a small town and it's the only boy in your town. Um, but I just love that he loved to capture everything. He loved, like I do too, but he was a mush ball. And I'm so glad because I have all those memories now and all the pictures and the videos. But we lived in the moment. We were present with each other when we were out on a date. No one else mattered. It was just me and him. It was like a movie, like things are just going past you. If anybody you love, any relationship you have, like put the phone down, put the phone down. Like I see so many people, like the other day I went to a coffee shop and there was a mom and her kids and the husband, like all of them were on their phones. Like you guys are with each other. You're not going to get that time back.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, but also take the picture and take the video because someday that might be all that you have, but never settle. He taught me that, what love should be. And I just hope that my kids, I don't know what happened, but yeah, that's basically it. Just live in the moment, be present, don't settle, know your worth, and communication is key too.
Especially, I think, in a long distance or distance relationship, the communication looks and sounds and feels very different at times. And I think that when you really want to build something better with someone after being through something difficult, that commitment to it is so much stronger. Like you don't want to settle, you don't want to go through that again. How did you know personally, or how do you know now, like what does it mean to settle versus to not settle?
I guess I don't really know now, but it's a good question. Obviously, your morals should be important to the other person. You're not going to see, you're not always going to agree on stuff, but as long as you take the other person's, what's the word I'm looking for? As long as you respect each other and try to communicate, if you love each other enough, you'll work out things. Our biggest thing was never to go to bed mad. Like if we had something that we didn't see eye to eye on, we'd communicate about it. And I love that about him because being a female, we get in our heads, right? You don't want to be, and then wake up and he's not messaging me. But no, communication, I guess, I don't know. Never thought of that question. Yeah, I don't know. Respect is a huge thing. So
Yeah, I agree. I think respect is really, really important. And I think women really want to feel the love and they want to feel the tenderness, the care. There's reassurance. There's this constancy that you have with a person. And I think men especially really love the respect and knowing that you're committed to them, you're going to uplift them and all those types of things. So when there are arguments or disagreements, I think on the surface too, like your guys' relationship looked really perfect and beautiful, but I imagine there had to be some difficulties and things to sort out to get to that point of that deep connection.
Yes. Well, he had, like I said, to break down my walls. And especially being in prep, he started dating me when I was in prep, and we all know how we get when we're hangry. I just went into, like, I would get quiet, and he wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it was a very beautiful relationship, but obviously a healthy relationship, you don't always see eye to eye. And we would just work. We actually broke up in the first month for almost a day, but that was it. And then we got back together. But it was because it was so cute actually, because he got really, like, not the clingy part was cute, but he was like, I listened to some podcasts on bodybuilding to try to understand what you're going through, and I'm so sorry. And it was just the cutest thing that he took initiative to try to understand what I'm going through, because I was like, okay, because this was at the beginning. I was like, I have this dream and the competitions is my thing. Like, and I was very hard-headed, like my way or the highway, because I just got a relationship. I didn't want anything, but he was persistent and he was amazing pretty much. So
Love that. That's so cute that you guys had the little falling out for a day and you're like, well, never mind. That's silly.
it was the longest day ever.
Yeah, I bet. How did you rekindle that? With him apologizing?
He snapped me a picture. Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Okay.
Somebody's trying to call me. I have it on do not disturb. So I'm pushing through. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, he sent me a snap and with puppy eyes, and then I sent him a snap because it was blizzarding outside. And then he FaceTimed me and pretty much acted like nothing happened. So yeah.
Me and Sean broke up for like an hour once, not even 20 minutes. And it was like very, very stupid over like dumb stuff. And I'm glad that it was so short-lived and he eventually, like we were staying together and he eventually came out and was like, I'm sorry. And I was like, me too. And it was fine. But I was like, let's not
love me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, we're not gonna like throw the whole we're breaking up, let's break up, we shouldn't be together thing out there because it's hurtful. So I think it's good to hear both sides, because sometimes people just fixate, oh, it should be this picture perfect romance. It's like, of course, those moments you're capturing, right? A lot of the times that's when the phone is taking a photo or a video. If you're in an argument, you're probably, I mean, unless you're, well, I won't even get into it, but like if you're recording it, then that's not likely. So I think it's really great to actually hear that. And I love that he supported you as a competitor and wanted to learn that. So let's talk about your competitive journey, because I found it interesting that you actually grew up in performance-based sports. And I was curious if that played a role in you deciding to compete.
It's actually funny because I was listening to your previous podcast on Friday about the dancer. So my take on it is opposite on stage, because cheerleading is more like, stick.
Yeah.
And same with gymnastics, it's not flowy. So I had to like unlearn a lot of things, and I still catch myself. But no, so I've always been in sports. That's been my life. I even did it in college. And then after I had kids, I kind of got lost in being just mom. And I was like, I need something that's Arielle. I'm not just mom, I'm Arielle too. And then, so then I found, bodybuilding, because I love working out. And so I because in North Dakota, like you said, I'm the first North Dakota bikini. It's not big here. So when I found the sport and started getting into that, it brought me back to life again. And I was like, I'm only going to do one show. And then, so I made it to that show. And when my heels hit the stage, it was like such an adrenaline rush. And I was like, okay, I love this. Let's keep going.
That's so cool. How did you even come to find it? If, North Dakota, it wasn't even known. You ended up being the first bikini pro, and it still took you 8 shows to become a bikini pro. So that's multiple years in the making. What was it that actually got your interest sparked?
It was actually nobody to do with NPC. It was is it WBF? I think it's called, that Patty Boyle. I can't think of her name. She's from Australia.
Patty. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I love her. And so I saw her and I was like, oh, and then after having kids, and I just wanted to get my body back. So I hired a coach. And then I found out in Fargo, which is like 3 hours from here, they do shows, I think, once a year. And so I just decided, I was like, I'm going to do a show. And everyone's like, you're going to do what? And I'm like, yep, I'm going to get in a bikini on stage.
Yep. How did people perceive bodybuilding when you started it?
Um, some people still don't understand. Some people look at you kind of like you're a freak, especially when you're super lean. I have this little cute old man at my gym that brings me bags of veggies because he says I need to eat. And I'm like, sir, I do eat.
A lot, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's becoming more and more out there, I think, because of TikTok too. Like people, social media is making it bigger, but yeah, it's still not that big here. No.
Yeah. Well, I think it's awesome that you found your passion in it and it's brought so much to your life. And prior to that, you were really identifying with the mom identity. So how have you found committing to a passion and something that interests you change you in how you approach motherhood?
I think that making yourself happier as a person makes you a happier mom. And I love that, like my daughter, when she was turning 3, it was Valentine's Day, and she asked for a set of pink dumbbells. So yes, and like the other day she asked me, how much longer until I can work out with you, mommy? Her dad works out too, and we co-parent awesome, and he has a gym in the basement. And I love that they know that they have to work for, like you said, it took me how many years to get my pro card, but I still kept going. Like nothing's handed to you. You got to work for it. And they're my biggest cheerleaders too. I love them and they love it too. And my daughter poses in front of the mirror and she pretends like she's on stage, and it's cute.
That's adorable. I love that. That's what I hope for in my future, is the kid that's inspired, because it is a lifestyle and you're leading by example. And I think you had brought up too how when you're leaner, people maybe look at you differently. And sometimes you've talked about how letting go of the shreds can be difficult for yourself. So what do you do to support yourself when you feel that way?
I'm still working on that. I'm not too kind to myself, and I'm trying to be better. But I mean, I don't voice it out loud because I don't want them to hear, because I don't want them to think that a certain image is beautiful, when every image can be beautiful, every stage is beautiful. But it is hard to go from extremes because you get used to, but my kids also, they love to eat healthy too. And I caught my daughter the other day. Was like, how many carbs is in that? I was like, oh, no. Doing that. So I still need to be careful with how I say certain things too. But yeah, it is hard going. This is the best reverse I've ever done from when I won my pro card. Usually I reward myself, and I reward myself too long, where I'm like, I deserve this because I've been deprived. And I think that's helped because I have had a coach now that, I mean, every coach has got me to where I'm at. But it's really helping me this chapter with my relationship with food. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And you've had a few improvement seasons. So in your journey from 2019 to 2022, I believe there were 2 improvement seasons before you earned your pro card. And I was hoping you could share what you learned in those improvement seasons, maybe about your body or about yourself, or even about the sport, that made you a more successful competitor?
Yeah, so what I wish I would have known when I started was not to ego lift. I
Yeah.
just like to push weight around. That there's a purpose for every lift. Mind to muscle connection was huge when I found out what that did. Um, Also, that carbs are not your enemy. It's okay. Um, Also, being very like your coach can't guess what you're feeling. You have to be somewhat too honest, and communication is key for sure. Like, I remember being so uncomfortable, like, oh, I haven't gone number 2 for so long. And they need to know that.
Yes.
So stuff like that, like just being, like I said, I grew up a pageant girl. You don't talk about going poo, and then you get a coach and he's like, have you gone to the bathroom? It's like, oh, why are you asking me that? But it's part of the sport. Like they need to know that. So
Truly, yes. And I think part of your competition journey that really inspires me, it is the ups and the downs, because a lot of us competitors face that. Sure, there's generally a spotlight on the person whose journey seems to be going really smoothly. They're on that up and up, they're killing it. Rarely is the spotlight shining on the girl working her butt off to get there. And then eventually she gets there, and then it seems like it's this really smooth journey, but there were lots of those ups and downs. Now you have been able to continuously improve and bring better physiques to the stage, different physiques to the stage. What was cool is the show you came to and placed last was the show you ended up coming back and killing it. So I think that's a really cool full circle moment about how you committed to this journey. But I want to touch on something that I think some people would say, which is don't compete at nationals if you're not in top callouts, meaning don't go again if you're not in top callouts. But you went from, and other people have come out of second callouts and ending up going and taking their pro card. You did that, and you had done that after taking second callouts at USA's, middle of second callouts at USA's, the next national show, you got your pro card. What encouraged you to actually go to nationals, knowing that there's this kind of narrative that shouldn't be done?
So I mean, we all want to win our pro cards, right? But really, I kind of surprised myself because I mean, you kind of get in your head that like it's because it's a dream, like it's too far fetched. So when I went to this last show, I was like, I just want to make top callouts. That's all I want. I just want to make top callouts. So when my name got called to, I got on the end because where they put you is not where you end up. And I was like, I was so happy just to be in top callouts. Like I was like holding back tears and just so excited. And then you hear your number get called and you're getting moved. And I was like, okay, probably to the other side. And the girl that I switched with was in the middle. So then I got moved center in the middle. And I was like, this is not happening. And I just remember being there and I was like, please don't move me. Please don't move me. Please don't move me. And it was like the longest 30 seconds of my life. But I don't know. My biggest thing too was I wanted to turn pro before I would be able to compete in masters. That was like my goal. I was like, if I don't turn pro before I'm old enough to do masters, I'm just not that. I know like masters is hard too for people to turn pro in because their muscle development and the maturity in their muscle is amazing. But it was just like a timeline in my head that I created. I was like, if I don't turn pro by the time I can compete in masters, I'm done. So that was going to be my last show.
Wow. That
Yeah.
was clearly not part of the plan to quit after that. That's
No.
awesome that you followed through on that. Now, what was it that kind of set that timeline in your head?
I don't know. I just want, I'm a creature of habit. Like I'm a planner. Like you should see the planner I have at work. I just need timelines. I don't know. And I don't know what's next. So I know I'm talking with my coach about what's next and we're kind of having some ideas, but that's the exciting part too. I can't wait to be back in prep because then there's like, I don't know, a timeline again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Definitely.
like the unknown, but yeah.
What are you guys focused on right now?
Well, we're building my upper glutes a little bit. I mean, who doesn't want to build their glutes up a little bit? And then and then a little bit of my rear delts, but we're thinking after the Olympia to because the Olympia is sooner this year, so then to start for the next Olympia, like to
That's
do a trainer
awesome.
show. Yeah.
Love that. So 2024?
Yes.
Heck yeah. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Oh, good. Well, it sounds like your goal is to make it to the Olympia. Is that part of any mental timeline you've got as well?
Mm, no, like I said, I try not to think too far ahead of it with anything, but obviously that's my dream is the Olympia. So we shall see. It's crazy to think of that I'll be even competing on stage with Olympians. That's cool in itself. Um, yeah, I, you look up to these girls for so long and you're on stage with the people you look up to. That I think is just amazing itself. So,
Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing about this sport is you can have longevity in it, and then you do get to sometimes actually compete next to people that you grew up in the sport watching.
mhm.
Anyone who's inspired you?
I can't pronounce her name. She doesn't do it anymore. She was one of the blonde Olympians. Is it Raphael?
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
She,
Rafaela Milagres. Yeah.
she actually inspired my red suit because it's like I feel like being a blonde in this sport is really hard because your hair looks platinum on stage. You have the tan, the Oompa Loompa tan, and then dark hair just goes together so naturally. So I would stalk blonde girls to see what suits would look good. And oh, there's my cat.
Oh,
And I fell in love with her. So she inspired me. But somebody in the sport now that inspires me is Laura Lee. I messaged her. I actually saw her at nationals after Ty passed away, and she was very comforting and very sweet girl. And yeah, can't there's a lot of people that inspire me, but I can't think of them right off the I'm really bad with names too.
yeah. No, I get that. It's like you could describe the way that they look or maybe what shows they've done. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have Rafaela on the show. I've reached out, so if you guys are listening and want her on, just go blow up her inbox to come on Confessions of Bikini Pro and message celestial_fit on Insta because I think it'd be awesome to have her. She was one of my OG inspos too, and I've enjoyed seeing her journey even throughout and out of competing. I don't know if she'll ever come back, but see, this is why I'd like to interview her.
It's funny because I was me and Ty were in Texas and we are riding to Buc-ee's, which is a gas station.
Okay.
And she had this questionnaire up on her Instagram and I messaged her on the Instagram and she followed me and I was like fangirling like the biggest celebrity just followed me. I was so excited and Ty was like, it was just
cute.
yeah. So I mean I can message her and see, but
Heck yeah.
yeah.
I love that. Yeah, we can let her know that we mentioned her. And by the way, your cat is so cute. I
So I
had
call him a dog.
oh because
I
yeah,
never wanted a cat in my life, but with prep, I can't have a dog because that's not a life for a dog to be in the kennel all day.
yeah.
So here we are with my dog.
I love your dog. He looks a lot like my old cat. I never really was into cats myself, but my mom had this type of cat for over 23 years. And
They live forever.
yeah, so you're gonna have a dog for a long time.
That's okay. He actually fetches and he sits.
That's how our Tiki was. She was more like a dog than not, and she was a little crazy that way.
Yeah. Was it a Persian ragdoll?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. I think it was Persian, but I know it was a rag doll for sure. She looked
Yeah.
like this, but a little darker.
Yep. Yeah.
So let's talk about a normal day for you. What does it look like as a mom, a competitor, a coach, an accountant? You're wearing a lot of hats. So how do you go about that, or what does a normal day look like?
I like wearing a lot of hats because I like to be busy, because then when you sit down, that's when, the grief comes knocking in on your door. But yeah, so I wake up at like, well, I wake up every hour because, as you know, we drink a lot of water and we pee a lot. But I bring the kids to school, I go to work, go to the gym. Then I'm an Uber driver, not really an Uber driver, but for them I am, because they're in
It's
sports.
like,
So
wait, what?
I'm an unpaid Uber driver for my kids, because my daughter's in jiu-jitsu, gymnastics, and dance, and then Abel's in hockey, and he starts t-ball here shortly, and then they're both going to do soccer this summer.
Wow.
So yeah, I really don't know how I fit everything in the day, but I do, and I like being busy. But yeah, my job is pretty lenient too, because I work for my stepdad, so I can also work remote if I have to, because I live in North Dakota, where we're also getting another blizzard tonight, so I get snowed in. But did that answer your question?
Yeah, actually, did you grow up in North Dakota?
I was born and raised. I did move away a few times, but I'm a mama's girl, and I just kept coming back
No, I love that. You see your mom a lot?
every day.
Oh, that's so special. Do you live really
Yeah.
close then, I'm assuming?
What's that?
You live really close then?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I live in North Dakota, anywhere, and in Bismarck, so anywhere you go is like a 10-minute drive.
That's really nice. I love that.
Yeah.
I definitely miss always having family around. That's really, really special. So I love that you get to have that and share that with your kids too.
Oh yes, they are Nana's boy and girl for sure, through and through.
Yeah, no, I bet, especially if they see your guys' love for each other. And was your mom, you said your mom was always cheering at all the shows. Has she been to majority of them?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because the only show that I went to by myself was the show I won my pro card at. So my mom has a lot of mom guilt. If she's watching
Oh,
this, I love you. But she stayed back because my daughter had a dance performance and my son had a hockey game. So she stayed back to be Nana. And I don't know, it was kind of bittersweet. Like, obviously nothing can take that moment away, that when I won, but it was like hard because I had nobody with me.
yeah.
But yeah, she is definitely gonna mark off her calendar when I do my pro debut. She's not gonna miss it. But yeah, she's been to most of my shows.
I love that. That's so special. And that was awesome. I think she played a role in you earning your pro card, and that she's always been supportive and hung back to take care of the kids so you could be there, which is super special. And you said mom guilt, you use that term, and I'm not a mom, but I want to pick your brain a little bit about this. So when you became a mother, how did it, if at all, transform how you viewed your mom as your mother?
I think it just made us even more closer. Me and my mom have always been super close, even forever. Like, you see some kids have those moments where they turn into a teenager and they're sassy, and what I mean, I was sassy, but it just makes me appreciate her more too. She was my mom and my dad growing up. She played both roles. So also now I'm a, single mom. So I have that structure that she gave me that has helped me be who I am and be the mom I hope I can be to my kids. I hope we have the bond that we have. I mean, we do now, but kids, they go through their stages.
Yeah.
My daughter's already sassy. I mean, I can't pick her up at school. I have to, like, can you drop me off there? I'm like, you're 8 years old. Like, love me. But then my son is completely opposite. He'll scream from the school door to my car, I love you, Mom. Like, he is such a mama's boy. And I hope that doesn't change. But I appreciate her a lot more. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
really amazing. Especially going through what you've been through with becoming a single mother and having to co-parent now and having these different experiences, being able to relate in some ways with her and her understanding where you're coming from as well, like an unspoken compassion.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So I want to ask you one more question about your competitive journey, and then I'll ask you a few more. But with regard to becoming a pro, why did you want that for yourself?
You know, I think it's just, for one, I knew that there wasn't one in North Dakota. So it's kind of like a milestone, a thing to that no one else, like anybody can become a pro really, but no, like I was the first one. That was a big deal. Like,
That is an awesome, awesome title to have for yourself forever. You're setting an incredible precedent for others there.
yeah, I mean, there that was basically really, I just wanted, it's like a trophy. Like you go to, growing up in sports, you have your first place trophy. You want it so bad. And not many people can get it. And so I think it's just something to show also my kids that if you want something bad enough and you believe in yourself, then you can do anything.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so beautiful. I think that they have a wonderful example every day with how you show up and your resiliency in this journey that you've been on. Because, like you said, earning your pro card is special. It's not handed to everybody. Sure, the sport's grown, there's a lot more competitors, a lot more shows, but so people think, oh, they're handing them out. No, because there's so many more competitors. These shows are massive. It still is a grind, it's still a process. So you really have to love it, I think, to follow through and get there and pursue that. And it's awesome. And I love how you're continuing to grow. You've expressed how this season's been really about working on your food relationship. You've had the best reverse diet ever. You've been really expanding in your goals and letting go of a timeline so you can improve and bring it for 2024, which is awesome. So before I ask you for your best advice, is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish that I would have?
No, not that I can think of.
Okay.
I was just nervous to be, I've never done this before. So I'll
Well,
probably
you
think of it like a week later.
well, if you do, you can tell me. It's been
But
so
can you put
awesome.
this on?
Yeah, for real. We'll just like record a quick voice memo.
Yeah.
It's been so amazing to actually connect with you this way. I think you're doing a great job and have done a great job. So let's finish with your best advice. So what's your best advice for someone who's never competed before but wants to? And then your best advice for someone on their road to pro.
So someone that hasn't competed that wants to, find a why, find your why, make it strong enough. Fall in love with the journey. The journey is, I wish I would have, I mean, I did 8 shows, but I wish I would have been more present. I think after Ty passed away is when I found out how to be more present in the moments, because time is fleeting, but just enjoy every step of it. What's the word I'm looking for? Be coachable. It's if someone's, I remember my coach telling me, for my first show, I curled my hair and he's like, it looked better straight. And I thought he was being so mean to me. And I was like, but no, it does. It looks better straight. So just like critiques, take it with a grain of salt. Like, that's my son. Sorry. But you always try to learn too and be a student of the sport, I guess you could say. And then a person, you said going to pro?
Yeah, they're on
Was
their road
that
to pro.
road to pro? Well, I can't really compare it because I haven't done a pro show to say what the difference is, but I would say I am obsessed and in love with show weekend. Like, meet people, get to know their story. It really brings you to be a better competitor too, learning other people's stories. And there's so many walks of life out there, so many different personalities, and it's just amazing because you guys all are after the same thing. You're all the 1% in the world that's crazy enough to do this. and they become family. Like I have people reaching out to me still from my first show I've ever done, and we're still close. Like it becomes a family, and you should just be appreciative that your body's able to do it. You're healthy, and yeah, life's too short. Make the friendship, make the connection.
I love that. Really soak it in. And that drives home your earlier point about presence too. So I appreciate you sharing that advice. And how can people connect with you and follow the rest of your journey?
Well, I have my Instagram, Arielle Ann _ IFBB Pro. Otherwise, there's my TikTok, Arielle Ann's, if we still have TikTok, because they say they're going to close it. That's pretty much it. I mean, I have Facebook, but I don't accept people I don't know on Facebook because I post more of my kids on there. Yeah. So, but Instagram for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll put those in the show notes page, you guys. That's always on celestial.fit/podcast. If you're listening at the beginning of this episode, like right when we've released it, then it is going to be at the top of that page. If you are listening in the future, scroll down to the category section. It is alphabetized. So hers will be at the top because so you'll be able to find that right away. Not just her links, but also you're going to see a full breakdown of the episode. Everything that we talked about will be summarized. You'll see all the topics that we covered and full episode timestamps, which means you can share this with your teammates, your friends, your family, let them know why they should listen to it and give them some insight into what they can expect and why you loved it so much. Of course, we appreciate it when you post on your story or on Instagram and you tag us, letting us know what you liked about the episode or that you tuned in. It means a lot to me, means a lot to the athletes. Definitely show your support that way for the show. And you can leave a rating and review. That means a lot to us as well. But with all that being said, Arielle, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.